My name's Tony Newman, 50-year-old man from just outside of Liverpool. Okay, so initially I was on holiday in Turkey for my 50th birthday. So I had my 50th on the 11th of May, which was a Thursday. On the Friday after my birthday, I started just at first just with a temperature. The next day I'd started with D&V. So I was in bed in a hotel all of the Saturday. The Sunday again, continuing with D&V. So my wife and my sister called a doctor. They sent an ambulance out to me. I was then taken to a hospital in Turkey through their equivalent of an A&E, various tests, blood tests, stool samples. They said that I had a condition called amoebic dysentery. So this D&V continued for a number of days. I was admitted to hospital there then. I was finally discharged on the Wednesday with some antibiotics and things to take home with me. Flew back to England on the Thursday. The flight home was horrendous. It was like temperature on the plane. I was sweaty. I was cold, having paracetamol. Anyway, arrived back in Liverpool airport, came home because as I say, because it was my 50th when I was away, I hadn't seen the kids. So the kids had come round with presents for me on the Thursday evening. Still wasn't feeling great. The D&V had stopped at this point, but still felt like rotten. Anyway, my children and my wife were saying I needed to go to A&E. At first, I didn't want to go, but finally went to A&E at Wiston. After a 13-hour wait in A&E, I was finally seen by a doctor. Initially, they were going to send me home just with the antibiotics I was on. I spoke to them and said I don't feel well enough to go home. Sort of at this point, another doctor had come in and said, no, we're not going to send you home. We want to do more tests. The diarrhea had then started again. They put me in a side cubicle in A&E while I was waiting for a bed and to have various tests. And then it was sometime at this point then, so between being put in the side cubicle to being put on a ward, where I first felt my thighs just didn't feel right. It was like my thighs were getting weak. So I was still backwards and forwards to the toilet, obviously. So my wife had to come with me and wait outside. Again, after probably what seemed like a couple of hours, my feet then just didn't seem to be working. So I was shuffling then backwards and forwards to the toilet. At this point then I was admitted to a ward. So as time is progressing then over the next few hours, less and less movement in my legs. I then had to literally shuffle off the bed onto a commode to be pushed into the toilet, to then shuffle onto a toilet. I could still lift myself up using my arms on the bars in the toilet. But then again, over the next couple of hours, lost all use of my arms. The next day then, which would have been, I think, Sunday now, they were looking to move me to another ward. At some point over this time, I'd had a lumbar puncture. I think it was when I was on the next ward. This is all a little bit hazy, this bit. So I had a lumbar puncture, which they said showed signs of Guillain-Barré syndrome. I also then went into urinary retention, so I was catheterized. I was admitted then to an acute ward, which they were then treating me for Guillain-Barré syndrome. At this point, I couldn't move like my legs at all. My legs had completely stopped working, and my arms and my hands as well. So my hands were in sort of like a fixed position. So I couldn't really do anything for myself at this point. Obviously, I needed to be rolled onto bedpans. I needed, obviously, to be washed down by the nurses. Couldn't get out of bed. So it was very scary initially. just not knowing what was happening. So from having sort of a bad case of DMV to then not being able to move was like a really scary thing. But then once they spoke to me about GBS, I already knew what it was. I'm a big Liverpool fan, and in the early 2000s, one of Liverpool players was diagnosed with it. So I'd done a lot of research around it at the time. Also, I work in healthcare while I was on the acute ward as well in the early stages. Obviously, ITU then had to be involved. So initially it was the outreach team came to see me, and then I had one of the IT registrars came to see me, registrars, and when they were then discussing the possibility of being intubated and ventilated and all that, my role in healthcare, I'm an ODP, so obviously I deal with that kind of thing anyway. So then that was very scary then, just thinking, what if it didn't come off a ventilator? So after I'd finished the 5-day course of the IVIG, I was starting to get little bits of movement then, so I could now sort of move my toes slightly, move my legs a little bit. So then had a conversation with the consultant on the ward, the medical consultant, and he sort of said to me that from a acute aspect, there was not much more to be done acutely. And obviously then it would be rehabilitation that was needed. And then I was told on, I think it was the Wednesday of my second week, so it will have been just into the beginning of June, now probably the 1st of June, that there was a bed available at the Phoenix Centre over in Broad Green. So my initial thoughts were, I don't really want to go there because I live in St Helens anyway, so it'd have been closer for my family to visit me at St Helens, all that kind of thing. But I didn't want to, there was no bed available at the 7 Suite, so it was, yes, I will obviously go to the Phoenix Centre. Was transferred to the Phoenix Centre then, and from like the minute I got there, it was just like amazing. Sorry. All the staff were just fantastic. So then we got to the Monday and they did the ward round. So I'd met various staff over the weekend. I'd met the nursing staff, the HCAs, Jesse off the ward. I was admitted by Stephen, who was brilliant. One of the student nurses, fantastic. Met Mike on the Saturday, physio, who would explain the process. So it was just boss. I knew I needed to be there. Then on the Monday, they had the ward round, the MDT. I could have been transferred to 7 Suite because they had a bed for me. But no, I wanted to stay. Yeah, and then everyone who I met were just brilliant. From Pam, the hostess in the morning making you breakfast, the cleaners. Sorry, just get emotional when I talk about it. I couldn't move at first. So even like the student nurses just, having to wash you. But yeah, they were just all brilliant. They were all they just treated you like a human. Yeah. So from initially going there, I was like literally had to be hoisted onto a bed. From then, all the physios and OTs within the set and just the goals that we set together and we hit. And the initial sort of recovery period, we hit like really good milestones quite early on. So from not being able to even stand, so I was initially once I could move a little bit, I was transferring over onto a banana board, onto a wheelchair. They were then taking me to the gym. So then from initially the first time standing to then walking on a Zimmer frame to then go on to crutches, all these goals happened within sort of like a big 2-week period. Sorry, every 2 weeks. So then I could have been there for a bit longer. I was due to be discharged around about the 25th of September. But I thought I'd progressed well enough to return to home life. So I actually came home on the 16th of August. And I needed to do that from sort of my own mental health side, just get back with the family. The Phoenix Centre, obviously, all the different departments, OT, physio, psychologists, they all individually referred me to the community. So since I've been home, I've had community physio, some psychology sessions. I am still waiting for the OT. The OT is very busy at the moment. But I have like my physio at least once a week with either the physiotherapist or the assistant. And then also they've given me a plan what I then do myself sort of on a daily basis. So my daily routine is probably over the day, I'll do about an hour and a half of physio. That's normally split up into probably 3.5-hour sessions. And that's anything from balance, strength work, walking. I'm now able to walk using two walking sticks. Last week was the first time I ventured out with my physios with the walking sticks. I've only been doing that sort of around the house, but now I've been outside, and I can probably get around more with them. I'm still a little bit cautious, so I do take the crutches as well. But yeah, so from a physio perspective, I'm getting stronger every day. Trying to build up the strength in my legs. Me right leg, which is my dominant leg, initially after the GBS diagnosis, sort of became my weaker leg. So I excuse me, I personally thought that I had more strength in the left leg, but now it's reverted back. I won't, obviously, I don't know whether I will ever be able to do clinical work again. And unfortunately, no one can tell me that, and I understand that that's just a part of the condition. No one can guarantee that I will get back to full fitness. They also can't guarantee that I won't get back to full fitness. So I understand all that. So sort of future from a work perspective is near-term future is no clinical work. Obviously, we don't know what the long-term future will look like with that. Yeah, personal life's going really well. You know, the family have all been really supportive. I've returned back to going to the match now, so that's good. So I was at Anfield last week. I'll be there again this week. Yeah, so personal, I've got like a good support network of friends. So they've been sort of coming and picking me up. We go for coffees, we go for breakfast, lunches, whatever. Good sort of network of family as well. So again, the same, you know, kids are running me around if I need to go to places, if the wife's working. So that's all good. Everything from that is good. The only issue is it's the fear of the unknown of, if someone could tell me today, right, you're going to be 70% back, then at least you know everything's just up in the air, and that's the hard part.